Donald Trump is in a little bit of a meltdown. Now, over the weekend, it's been reported that President Trump has gone on a little bit of a Twitter tirade over the Mueller investigation. Well, that's not exactly something that is new. Of course, he's been privately and publicly fuming about the investigation into whether or not he has ties with Russia. I'm not exactly as concerned about that as the financial crimes, which I actually do believe they have a really, really good, or they're building a really, really good case against the president when it comes to money laundering and things like that. Now, what that will turn into, I'm not exactly sure. We'll just have to see when we see the evidence. But nonetheless, President Trump's very, very angry that Mueller has subpoenaed the Trump organization. Again, that is in relation to possible financial crimes. So, look, Donald Trump, if he is innocent of all these different financial crimes, well, then he wouldn't exactly be so angry. Now, let me give you an example of how mad he's gotten. All right. Now, on Saturday, President Trump tweeted Mueller's name specifically. Now, this is something that his aides and his lawyers and advisors and things are like, no, do not go after Mueller personally. Leave him out of it. Sure, you can go and attack the investigation, but whatever you do, do not go after Mueller personally. That is a really, really bad idea, and it actually makes you look guilty. Now, of course, is Donald Trump going to listen to that? No, he doesn't listen to his lawyers. He does whatever the hell he wants because he's unhinged, and he's not a very smart person. I know. He always says,
and then they say, "There's Donald Trump, an intellectual.
Trust me.
I'm like a smart person.
I'm like a smart person. I'm like a totally smart person, and I'm a very stable genius. So just sit back and let the stable genius do his work, okay? Go out and tweet." And, of course, earlier this morning he tweeted about witch hunts and all this whole thing. Oh, my God. It's a witch hunt. There's so much collusion, et cetera, et cetera. So, collusion between who? The FBI? He also claimed that the FBI are full of Democrats. No, the FBI is not full of Democrats. They're actually incredibly conservative. And in fact, they've gone after left-wing organizations. They used to go after, they went after Black Lives Matter. They went after other African-American groups. They even went after Martin Luther King Jr. This is not a group that is liberal. In fact, Mueller is a Republican. McCabe, who recently got his pension taken away, fired by Jeff Sessions, several days before he was able to get his pension. Trump's like, I'm pissed at you. I don't like you, McCabe. So I'm going to take away your pension. Ha ha, asshole. It's a completely dick move. But look, that's what he does to people who cross him. And again, McCabe is a Republican. Comey's a Republican. All these people are right-wingers. These are incredibly conservative people. But they are not in the Trump team because Trump is an incredibly corrupt individual. Now, I'm going to go here to the Daily Beast about what's going on inside the White House in the middle of this Trump meltdown. Now, multiple aides and Trump confidants tell the Daily Beast that they believe that this will not be the last time the president goes after the Justice Department's special counsel on his Twitter feed. And that is making a lot of them nervous. They say the president is determined to more directly confront the federal probe into his campaign's potential role into alleged Russian election interference, even if it means exacerbating his legal standing amid an investigation that has already ensnared some of his most senior campaign and White House aides. Yeah, look, you have Manafort, Gates, Flynn, Papadopoulos. Look, there's so many names. I don't even, we don't have time to go through all the different people that were indicted in relation to the Trump orbit. Okay. And not even, we don't even have enough time to go through and mention all the different people who have left the White House as well, as to not get involved in all of this stuff. So, nonetheless, two sources who speak regularly with Trump said they have noticed an uptick in his annoyance regarding Mueller and his team. So, this basically means that, Mueller is a Republican. Comey's a Republican. All these people are right-wingers. These are incredibly conservative people. But they are not in the Trump team because Trump is again, they're going to pick up the attacks. He's going to pick up the attacks. He's going to start going to war with Robert Mueller personally. And it's not going to get good. Not only that, but he's gotten more annoyed at the deluge of negative press stories regarding the probe. Now, there's an example in here. For example, the New York Times reported that Mueller had subpoenaed the Trump Organization to turn over documents, some pertaining to Russia, a demand for personal financial details that the president famously said would be crossing a red line in an interview with the Times last year. This red line has been crossed, and Trump, he is not happy about it. And again, he is having a complete meltdown. Now, so look, what is the implications of this? Again, if you start attacking the special counsel, the person that is investigating you, and attempting to undermine said investigation, look, depending on how you do it, that could be obstruction of justice. They're already looking into several charges of obstruction of justice. Add in some more. Look, again, personal attacks. You can view that as he's either acting incredibly guilty or he's just really, really irritated that it's getting in the way of his so-called legislative agenda. There are those different ways that you can look at it. I look at it as the guy's acting pretty guilty. And if you're somebody that didn't do anything wrong, you shouldn't be attacking the person that's investigating you. You should be saying, sure, here's all the information that you requested. You will find out that I've done nothing wrong. And that this whole thing is just, political and all that. And let's get all the facts out there so that everybody can be well assured that I've committed no financial crimes and I have absolutely zero ties to Russia. Okay. But that's not what Trump's doing, because Trump is not a smart person. In fact, some of his allies on Capitol Hill are basically very, very uneasy. This is a quote here from former Representative Jack Kingston of Georgia. Now, he's a top Trump media surrogate. You see him all the time on TV, if you're watching cable news, mainstream media. He said on this, quote, "I think it's a very delicate balance. There's nothing unusual about sending signals, but I think because of the highly charged nature of the situation, he should make sure that his lawyers know what he's up to. It's an area full of landmines, so tread carefully." So depending on what he says in his tweets, and depending on if he gets any sort of counsel from his counsel on what to say or what to avoid saying in a tweet, he could get himself into trouble. Now, Donald Trump, he tweets without abandon, with reckless abandon. And usually it's like 5 a.m, or right around the time of Fox and Friends. And these tweets, look, it's not like it hasn't happened before. They could definitely incriminate him, or at least make him look even more guilty. Now, this advice has been given to Trump before by his lawyers, by his advisors. Hey, man, look, if you're going to go and tweet something, run it by us first, just to make sure that you don't tweet anything terrible or dumb. Well, how's that worked out? Not very well. Now, according to the Daily Beast, that has left aides searching for more creative ways to try to insulate the president from his own worst instincts, because he is a child, he's a baby, sad. What's one of the ways that they tried to keep him away from Twitter? Apparently, whisking him away to the golf course is one of them. Quote, "On Sunday, that appeared to mean shepherding him to the golf course where he wouldn't be tempted to weigh in on cable news broadcasts about developments in the special counsel investigation." No, Trump, what are you doing? Hey, I know, Donnie, let's go to the golf course. Now let's play a roll of 9. Come on. Let's go do some 9 holes. I'll even let you drive the cart. Zoom. Again, the man is a child. He cannot help himself. And and look, all the people around him know he's an idiot. They know he's an idiot. They know he's going to incriminate himself. As if, of course, he did something wrong. And so they're like, we got to get him out of here. Get him to the golf course. Get him anywhere. But close to the TV. Keep him away from the television. Keep him away from that shit. Because that's going to get him in trouble. Now, again, all this is just trying to keep him away from Twitter and away from attacking Robert Mueller. Now, look, Mueller. So look, a lot of progressives, by the way, have an issue with Mueller, right? The fact that he did cheerlead for the Iraq War. I get that, and I totally agree. That is deeply problematic. But again, he's a Republican. He's a very conservative person. And so it's one of those things where it's like, yes, if you're a Republican, you are in favor of endless war. Sadly, that is extended to the Democratic Party to at least a very big extent, where there are so many people in the Democratic Party now that are pro-war, that voted for the Iraq War, of course, Hillary Clinton famously so. So, look, you can have that problem, but you can also look at what Mueller is doing in the investigation and how he's doing it. I mean, he's kicked anybody out with any sort of bias. He's running a pretty legit investigation. Again, going after financial crimes and things like that, which are real crimes, which are actual crimes. So, again, if you want to question Mueller, that's sort of the answer that I'm going to give you. Like, look, what he's done so far is, again, he's tried to run a pretty straightforward investigation without any sort of bias. If he was biased, well, then we would know, because he would obviously be biased towards the Republican, towards the conservative position, which the Republican Party, almost as a whole, is still circling the wagons around Donald Trump. And now we've got this infighting with Republicans basically eating Republicans. But that's what you have going on. Now, so speaking of Republican infighting, we've got a couple of people here saying that there's going to be an absolute disaster if Donald Trump fires Robert Mueller, which is looking pretty likely, again, as Mueller is being attacked by name. He is being targeted. Now, here you have Lindsey Graham, for example. Now, Lindsey Graham said, quote, "If he tried to fire Mueller, that would be the beginning of the end of his presidency. I think it's very important Mueller be allowed to do his job without interference, and there are many Republicans who share my view." Trey Gowdy. Here's another guy, right? The guy who ran the investigations into Benghazi, right? Even he's like, you know what? Let's have him do his investigation. Quote, "If you look at the jurisdiction for Robert Mueller, first and foremost, what did Russia do to this country in 2016? Well, they had a bunch of troll farms, and they ran some ads, and Cambridge Analytica, for example, stole a bunch of Facebook users' data and tried to create a psychological profile of voters to try and push their buttons. Was it hugely effective? I still think that while there was some impact of all those different things, Hillary Clinton being such a terrible candidate and having the race so close in the first place, which it never should have been, was the ultimate reason that Hillary Clinton lost. We wouldn't have had a situation where Russian interference would have possibly been the game changer for this election had we not had such a terrible candidate on the Democratic side to begin with. So, look, it's still, when you break it down, it's still the fault of the DNC. It's still the fault of Hillary Clinton that Hillary Clinton lost. Anyway, and if they hadn't rigged the primary against Bernie Sanders, well, then we would likely have a President Sanders right now, and we'd be doing a lot better. Anyway, now, so that's Trey Gowdy, that's Lindsey Graham, that's Republicans. Oh, I've got one more here from Gowdy, actually. He said, and this is very interesting because this would show an enormous shakeup. Trump can't fire Mueller directly. He's got to get Rosenstein to do it. Rosenstein is not interested in firing Donald Trump, Robert Mueller. So Donald Trump would likely have to get rid of both Rosenstein and Jeff Sessions. That's a huge staff shakeup. especially since, again, Sessions. Look, the only reason that Rosenstein was able to appoint Mueller in the first place is because Sessions recused himself from the Russia probe, because he had his own entanglements. So you get rid of Sessions, you get rid of Rosenstein, and you appoint some political hack in order to do your dirty work, to get rid of Robert Mueller. That's a huge, huge problem. I think that's constitutional crisis level here, because here you have a president saying, I don't care about the law. I don't care about the investigation. I just want to go on. So, yeah, I'm going to get rid of these people, and I'm going to put people that will do what I want to do to get rid of this investigation into me that is hounding me. That, again, I think that would launch an enormous crisis and would not be a very good thing. Now, Gowdy on this says, quote, I think the president, if that happens, is going to have a really difficult time nominating and having approved another attorney general. Now, look, impeachment is a word that floats around, but it's not likely if you have Republicans that are still massively backing Donald Trump. Would that change if they get rid of Sessions, Rosenstein, and fire Mueller? I don't know. But the whole thing hinges on having enough Republicans that actually care about the rule of law and order to basically try to put a stop to Trump through those proceedings. I don't have enough faith in the Republican Party, and I think that's justified, to say that they would actually do the right thing if that were to pass, which would mean we would have a president that is basically unanswerable to the law. That's pretty dangerous, if you ask me. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.